All right, we are live. This is weird and terrifying. Welcome to Out Motorsports After Dark. We're finally doing a podcast. It's been many months in the making. Tyler has been badgering me, and we're doing the thing. So, welcome to it. We've got Jake and Tyler here, and our esteemed first guest, Matthew Walker. Hi. Yes, you have to say
Hi.
something. We're not always on video. Yeah, yeah. I hope everyone's got their favorite cocktail ready or already consumed. Before we started recording, I was telling the girlies here I was out with our friend and my realtor Garrett, looking at condos, and we had a victory martini because I found a place I liked. So um, I am well lubricated and ready to go. But
And I'm particularly excited for an excuse to drink a gin and tonic on a Wednesday night because otherwise I wouldn't be. So this is lovely.
yes. Oh, it's Matthew. It says you have to refresh your page because your browser won't let you record.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Oop, there he
Oh, he
goes.
disappears. That's what happens.
He'll be
He's having the
back.
same problem I had. Yeah.
Yeah, this is all new and fun.
It's an adventure.
It is. So while we're waiting on him, what are we talking about tonight? Like, what's the format of all this?
What is the format of us? So, other than
Yeah.
our general intros, which we just did, we have a little newsy piece where none of us have particularly done our research about the newsy pieces. I just picked a few links and sent them to some people. Matt particularly got them like 5 minutes before we all just hit record. Um, and then from there, talk a little bit to Matt, see what he's up to. We've known him for a very long time. We have an old
Yes, we
picture
have.
somewhere of all of us sitting at like Bimmerfest 2013 where we look like absolute
Yeah,
children.
because we were.
Yeah, we were. Oh,
Am I
hi,
back?
you're
Am I
back.
working?
You're back. Yes, it
Work.
says
Oh
you're
my
working.
god, I am that person who shows up to the Zoom and is never can't ever figure it out.
It's all you have to do is like rattle an iced coffee and be like, "Sorry, I'm late." So,
Me every morning at work.
right.
I'm on me time, that's all.
That's fine. Um, Tyler, are we also going to talk about what I've been driving?
Yes, what you've been driving,
Yeah.
what I've
We
possibly
mentioned
been riding and or driving.
that. Mhm.
And then depending on what kind of interaction we get, like maybe some trivia from people.
Oh yeah.
I haven't
yeah. So we've
particularly
got
thought about any trivia, but today was auction day at work, and I figured if I'm going to be there for I don't know how much longer, I can just pick a random car I ran through auction. We can do an over under on what the car went for.
Okay, I like that.
That's
Something.
fun. I like that.
And for the people who are in the chat, feel free to like ask questions and whatever, and we'll answer them, whether it's for Matthew or for us.
Gossip
get into
with
the
us,
news?
please.
Yes, send us some goss. But Tyler, what do you got for news for us?
So, first things first. New York International Auto Show was what, a week ago now
Week,
at this point.
last week,
So
we didn't go.
some of no, we didn't go. We traveled 3,000 miles across the country to go to the other one, and then
Right, but we didn't go to
skipped the one that was the easiest for us to go to. But some exciting things were announced there, and the thing that caught my eye the most was the Genesis new Magma like high performance line that they're doing.
Yeah.
So the idea is sort of like Hyundai's Inline. They haven't released a bunch of specific information about it yet, but it's a high performance Genesis line. I assume like Hyundai's Inline, considering they're
Yeah.
very similar companies. So they have Genesis Magma GV60, G80 is already in existence in other parts of the world. But how do we feel about it? I know we're all previous BMW fanboys, hence Bimmer World or Bimmerfest 2013 or 14, and
Right.
Albert Bierman being at Genesis now. I feel like it's kind of the natural continuation. So I'm excited for it. I think it's like budget BMW M almost.
Yeah, I'm curious like what they're gonna do. They haven't talked anything about power yet, and I feel like you can get like they have power now, but without other like suspension, wheels, tires, brakes, all that stuff. So I feel like that'll be the natural progression. And then they've got the bright orange paint, which Hopefully, a little other bright colors as well, because I love the orange, but a lot of people won't. They'll get them in like some tragic shade of gray. But the biggest tea that I heard is that the G80 Magma is not coming to the U.S., which is some nonsense. But
yeah, which everybody's like begging for. It's in existence in like Abu Dhabi, right? It's like some
Right.
yeah, where bright orange cars belong, but also they belong here. Please, Genesis.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Genesis needs to have a hot version. Because like they already have a good baseline. Like the G70 rear-wheel drive 4-cylinders are a great car, but like if they tighten up the suspension, tighten up the brakes, tighten up that shifter, like that car would get turned up to perfect.
Yeah, and the G70 in particular, I think is interesting that they haven't done anything with this Magma lineup. They haven't mentioned it because they have now it's a 2.5 turbo and then the 3.3 turbo, I guess. But they could like turn up the boost on the 3.3 and like slam it, wheels, tires, Brembos, exhaust.
Yes.
Call it a
V
day.
formula, slam it, wheels, tires, Brembos.
And seats. Give it good seats.
Yeah,
And
seats and an LSD. They don't have diffs, right?
What?
Oh, I thought they had an LSD in those.
Ooh, maybe they do. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't remember.
That's an interesting time to announce that though, because we're on the cusp of EVs. So is Magma gonna roll into the whole EV line?
They had a GV60 Magma as
Yeah,
part
there's
of
a
their
GV
concepts.
There's a GV60 Magma, and it's like the cover photo on the article that Caleb at Car and Driver wrote. But yeah, it is interesting actually that they haven't done anything with the G70, and I feel like that would be like the one. And it's also interesting that they basically didn't they say last year that they weren't really developing internal combustion engines anymore? So like what we have is kind of what we get. So, yeah.
Everyone said that.
Yeah.
And then, Mercedes said they were going to be all electric by 2030, and like you saw how that's gone. It's just not going to happen. They're trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
It
Not
sounds
yet.
like the Smagma would be a very good V Sport competitor. They should do
Smagma?
it. I love it.
The
Yeah,
Smagma.
Magma.
Oh, that's what they should call it.
God, no, no!
Smag-
I just ruined this entire car line. I heard this, and oh God, it's ruined.
If you've got that, you should take a shower.
Is that the color of the paint? It's Smagma orange. That's the
Smagma orange.
Wow, we are 7 minutes into the first episode, and we're getting canceled already. This is going to be great.
Maybe we shouldn't have gone alcohol shopping. But yeah. So I'm excited for it. I hope it happens.
I'm just glad to see them doing something because they have been a little bit like maybe underdoggy, but I think everything they do except the GV60 is beautiful. And they're just like, I want to see them succeed so badly.
Yeah, and I'm a fanboy, so anything that Albert Bierman touches, I kind of want it to succeed. So
Yeah.
Are you driving a Genesis this week, or?
No, so I was going to have one last week. So I went to the car show where I went to college, where Matthew also went to college, and they do this every year, and I was going to initially bring an Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio that I had pitched to them as like, this is the final, they're going to stop making them after the summer, it'll be so great, I've got a mountain road to drive it on, and, show it off, blah, blah, blah. And then it got damaged in Atlanta, so they're like, we can't give you that.
Damaged.
It's paint damage, allegedly.
Uh-huh.
So they're like, they're fixing it, and they said, I'll get one later in the year. But then it was going to become a G70 with the new 2.5 turbo that they've pulled from somewhere else. And then that got accidentally booked over my dates. So then it became an Audi RS5 Competition Sportback, which I was not mad about. I was already set to have that. I was going to have it in May, and they were like, hey, do you want it 2 months early? So I said yes, except then it came to me on a 70-degree weekend on winter tires, which
Perfect.
do not recommend. But
That sounds like a challenge to make them have to put summer tires on it.
yeah. So like I'm now friends with the guy who does like half of PR for Audi, and he's super sweet, and he was like, yeah, if you'd wait a little bit longer, we'd have it back on summers, but I guess like Germany wants it, they just have a hard date of like before whatever, you can't have them. Which is fair because it comes on like Pirelli Corsa. I guess it's kind of like an almost track only summer tire sort of deal. So they don't want people having it. It's 444 horsepower. They don't want you having that on like a 40-degree day, because you would put it in the trees.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, has there been a modern Audi that I haven't loved yet? Well, so this one actually, I don't fit in.
In what way? Too tall?
Yeah, the roof line. So they do the RS5 as a sportback, which is like the 4-door coupe nonsense, or they do the 2-door actual coupe, and the 4-door, the window line from the windshield over to the roof, it's very raked, and if you're tall in the torso, your head will be like in the ceiling with it. So I've heard the coupe is actually a better fit.
Well, why don't you just cut your legs off?
But that wouldn't help, girl. My torso's too tall.
Oh, well.
The seat doesn't go down low enough.
I have that problem too, but I'm not as tall as you. I'm just like all torso and no legs, but I'm luckily only 5'9", so I fit in everything.
I made it work. It was a hardship, but I made it work. But for owning one, I would have to do the 2-door, because the roof line is just a little different.
Which is interesting, because that's not what you would think at first glance. You would just assume that the 2-door is.
Yeah, you would assume that's like smaller and
one.
more difficult, but it's really, and that's why in all these videos I'm like, just go sit in one yourself. I can tell you how it drives, but every body is different, so go sit. Yeah. Oh, and Mark is saying, do the manufacturers do all this press car coordination themselves? No. It is in the DC area. There are 2 companies that handle all the fleet management stuff, and usually I think every location it's 2. But basically the brands contract out with these different fleet companies, and they hold the cars, they deal with the scheduling. I will work with the PR teams, Tyler works with the PR teams to say, like, we would like to have this on this dates, if this would work, and if it will, then great. If it won't, then they'll figure something else out. The issue with some of the scheduling stuff was actually not a big deal. That was all within the same company. That was just a miscommunication on my part / late ask.
Yeah, there's a lot. So, they do a lot, and they're usually really, really good. They're busy people. But speaking of our friends at Audi / VW,
play Tetris.
Yeah. So speaking of our friends at Audi / VW, one of the other topics was, maybe it's old news at this point, but the VW Harlequin April Fool's Day joke that everybody got really butthurt about. So 2 things. Obviously, we want to see it, but would it actually be so hard for them to do it? They teased it on an ID4, right? Or the new VW Buzz. ID3.
Yeah, in Europe they have the ID3, which is I think kind of golf sized.
It got people upset because they teased it a few days before, so people thought it was legitimate, which they did with Volkswagen too,
right.
1 or 2 years ago.
This is not the first time Volkswagen has played this.
So Volkswagen was last year, and I was pretty irritated by that, because the thing with Volkswagen was that when PR people at Volkswagen were asked, "Is this real?" they said yes. Because it's they put out a press release oh, we're changing our name to reflect our electric future, blah blah blah. So all these people at Car and Driver, Road and Track, Motor Week, whatever, reached out to the PR teams, as you should, to say oh, can you comment more? And they're yeah, it's totally real, it's happening. And there is this. I was reading a response that I don't know if it was Car and Driver, someone wrote. It came up today because I was bored. But they were saying due to the nature of how we do this work between the PR teams of the manufacturers and people like us who are trying to get cars and work with brands, there is an inherent friendship and trust that gets built. And when you have one of those, so for example, the guy who is the East Coast PR lead for Chevrolet is a literal friend of mine that went to college with me, and we're buddies. And if I messaged him and was hey, is Chevy really doing this thing on the record through his Chevrolet email, whatever, and he said yes, and then a couple days later he was oh, just kidding, that really hurts that relationship.
Yeah,
so
and I guess
that thing was a big problem.
Yeah, I guess that's the line, right? it's one thing if you like tease it on April 1st and everybody knows that it's a joke, but like
Yeah.
Volkswagen has done the like, all right, it's a week before we're going to tease something, and now it's up to us to just assume at this point that that's not an actual tease. But yeah,
No one
agree.
cares
And
about
the
car
other
people.
thing-
They're gonna throw enthusiasts away. They play with our hearts and throw us in the trash.
Well, and the thing with this Harlequin nonsense is like I've got friends who are both like members here and otherwise. There's a guy who is a student at our college now who imports gray market VWs like for the 25-year rule, and he's brought in several Harlequin polos and all this stuff that are super cool. Everyone's all excited. And the first issue, they posted this on the Volkswagen UK Facebook page, which just says Volkswagen. So everyone thought it was Volkswagen US, but it wasn't. And then they teased it, and then on April 1st, they're like, oh, just kidding. And it, like,
yeah.
if you're just going to make more gray Atlases, just do it. I don't know. Like, like
Somebody, like some shop up in PA, at one point was like making reproduction Harlequins, and it wasn't even like
Really?
a wrap. They were like really taking things apart. And is it not Eurowise? They're a VW shop in North Carolina, but it was an Atlas, I think. Like they made a Harlequin Atlas, and
someone
then they
did a
towed,
Harlequin Atlas, which looked really cool.
and then they
I mean,
towed
it
their
really-
Harlequin Jetta with it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even be that hard. Just throw a couple odd panels together, charge $5,000 more. They'd make money. They'd make so
They
much
would-
money.
And
Right.
they could do it with like the Mark 8.5 GTI, the one that's
Yeah.
coming for 2025, I guess, with steering wheel buttons.
They
But
could do it on a goddamn Tiguan. Someone would buy it.
You know that they have extra stuff just like sitting in the corner of a warehouse, or like, nah, that color wasn't quite right. Like that didn't match. Like throw all that on one car. Done.
the way they did the original Harlequins was they would paint them all, like, you know, okay, this VIN gets painted teal. The whole car gets painted teal. And then they took them apart and moved the panels around. Like,
Oh, I didn't know that. See, I always wondered how they did it.
Yeah.
I didn't know if
Yeah,
it was like
they're
a
like- they're
Parksman
like, oh.
thing or if there was a
they're
science
like,
behind
this
it.
one's yellow, this one's red, this one's purple. And then they pulled them off the line and moved the body panels is all they did. So
Ooh, that's
They
fun.
don't
you
even
can tell on the
lose
Golfs
money.
where it's like the rear blade that's behind the rear doors. Whatever color that is the actual color the car was painted.
There should be like a Harlequin reunion where all the Harlequin owners get together and they take their cars apart to put one full colored car back together.
Yeah.
So did you know? And this is going to be like I can't do math, but this is the trivia that sticks in my head. Some dealers, when those cars were new in the U.S., couldn't sell them because people thought they were too weird. So the dealers were actually reassembling them into single color cars to sell them.
That's wild. See,
And
that's
there are
probably
a
worth
couple
more than
owners-
our original
I think
Harlequin
the-
at this point.
Right, like I think the kind of teal green color, that was the only way to get that generation of GTI as that color was if you got a Harlequin that was reassembled into a not Harlequin.
Oh, well, now I'm going to be looking for GTIs in this color forever.
Yeah, good luck. I'm sitting in a rabbit hole.
And here we are 30 years later complaining that we're not getting another one.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well,
Speaking of age,
VW,
how old
please.
were we when we all met, by the way?
Wow.
I don't know how to share that photo that you found, Tyler, but
I know.
is that 2013, 2014?
Yeah, that was 2013, so that was 11 years ago, which makes me feel really old at this point. I was really a baby. That was the first time that I had driven my E36 like anywhere. In fact, I drove it there with like a coolant leak so bad, because E36 things, that I had to like bleed the cooling system of its pressure before I went anywhere. So I needed to let my car fully warm up, take the cap off of the radiator, and
That is
then
the
go to
epitome of,
Bimmer
like,
Fitness.
That is the epitome of someone's life looking amazing and then being a train wreck on the back end because your car looked phenomenal. You had it just
Right.
painted before we went to the show.
I did. Yeah, but under the skin it was terrible. And then it had a really good like 8 years, and now it's literally sitting in my carport, and it's been there for like a year. So you know.
Yeah. And that's so, okay, so
Wow.
if that was 2013, I had literally just bought that E36 that later became my race car.
Oh, that's right, you did, and you took it there,
Bought that
right?
Labor Day weekend of 2013. So if this event was like October or whatever, then I had done nothing to it. And it had like bald tires. The trailing arm bushings on the rear were so blown that if you floored it, it would change lanes. It was really bad.
And then we went autocrossing after this. So then you
We
autocrossed it on, yeah.
We did. I remember.
Which I
being
also have a
scared.
video somewhere, very hungover autocrossing. And then
Yes.
I have a
We
video
stayed at that
somewhere.
terrible hotel.
We did. And you... So I was like rolling the entire autocross, and at some point you got a flat tire, and I have a video somewhere
Yes.
of me like running out of my car to you like just before your autocross run, like about to tell you that you have a flat tire, but you like left anyway, and then you did the entire autocross run like a flat right rear, and then you came at some point like your tire lifted in the air, and then you came back and it was all over. But that was a good time. Hold on, where is it? No one's gonna be able to see it. Possibly. It doesn't do any good
yeah,
for
you can see
anybody
that.
listening on Spotify.
Holy
In the video,
shit.
there's the three of us sitting together 11 years ago at this
Wow.
point
Yeah, that's
in a
so
parking
wild.
lot.
Wow,
Oh,
I
I
remember
feel
that
so
picture
old.
now that you brought it up. That is crazy.
Matthew,
That's
did you?
It is
probably
insane.
one of my. That was one of my first like big car things that has ever happened. Like that show was huge.
Did
I
you have
rode
your
up
E36 yet?
I didn't. I had it. I didn't drive it there because it was broken. So I rode with Joey in his M3.
Well, and so the other fun fact for everyone listening at home.
Oh God,
Matthew's E30. You had a what, a 328?
328
Montreal Blue, 328.
Montreal Blue.
It belonged to a high school friend of mine,
I bought this
and
car
they
in
unknowingly
Ashburn,
sold the
Virginia.
car one to the other without me being involved.
I bought. Yeah, this is like I barely knew you at this point. You
Yeah.
saw the car on a forum, and Jake just responded to it being like, "Did you buy this car from so and so?" And I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "Oh, great!" Like 6 months later, Jake's like, "We used to do burnouts. I like wrecked the clutch in that car. I learned to
That's
drive
what-
a manual on this E36." I'm like, "Great!" So this is why it's clapped. You.
That's why you couldn't drive it to Boomerfest 2013.
not just me, not just me.
Oh
That
man,
car was
I
owned
love
by
that car.
an eager 16-year-old the entire time. But
It had 180. I bought it at 175, and I think it was at 186 by the time I was done with it.
that sounds about right. That was a
Yeah.
good life for it.
It was fun life.
Yeah. So what are you driving and doing? Tell everyone everything.
Well, I now have a 22 GR86. It's phenomenal. Love it. However, my heart lies with old Volvos. Bricks, 240s, 740s, 940s. The GR86 could never compare.
Despite being substantially faster.
Substantially lighter, better
Yes.
handling.
Better in every way, but apparently also worse.
Yes.
Except comfort, you can't beat the love seats that come in those cars.
Well, you let
They
me
went-
borrow that. What did you? Was it a 740 wagon?
You borrowed the
blue one?
740, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was
was-
very comfortable.
Yeah, it was a 1989. I bought that from the second owner, who they bought it in Arizona. It lived in Michigan, then it went to Maryland. That's where I bought it. It had no brake pads, no rotors. It needed all four tires. It was covered in moss. Both front tire rods needed to be replaced. I don't know how
And
I drove
why
it
did you
home,
buy
but
this?
I did. Girl, I was.
This is
I went
very
to-
like, Daddy, I can fix him.
Hang on. I left the house that morning with the intent on buying a 370Z.
What?
So I
I
I
don't
would
know this
argue.
part of
I would
the
argue
story.
the end result was actually better.
Well, sure, but I didn't know this part.
yeah. So I had the black NB Miata, the '99 Miata, and I wanted to sell that and get one Grand Touring Coupe to have as one car. So I went. Car Guru said that there was a 6-speed white 370Z, $20-something thousand at like a Nissan dealer in Tyson's. So ran over there. We get to the car. It's an automatic slapstick. I'm like, well, that's not what I wanted. So literally sitting in the car, I just got on Craigslist and I was like, I'm in a buying mood. I was ready to go. I woke up with the intent on trading in the Miata. And I saw that Volvo, and sitting in the car, I sent an email, and I was like, if he responds in 10 minutes, I'll go check it out. If he doesn't, then I'll go home. He responded in 1 minute and with an address, so I just drove over to Chevy Chase, Maryland.
Wow.
He was
That's
asking
how I
18
bought my Volvo. Like, the guy responded eerily quickly, and I
Yeah.
just went to Tyson's Corner and bought it.
Yep.
I feel like that's
he
a
was
Volvo
asking-
owner thing. They're very timely and organized. It's-
And it's
Not to
such a
drag
problem.
Garrett directly, but yes.
Sorry, Garrett. Literally in the
Such a-
comments, shout out old Volvos. We're attacking Garrett.
I remember driving through the neighborhood and thinking like, oh wow, it's Chevy Chase, so it's a really nice neighborhood. And I come through a roundabout and I'm going up the hill. I'm coming up the hill, and as I crest it, I see the Volvo in the driveway. It looks like shit, but it's that old brick. And I immediately I'm just like, fuck, why did I do this? This isn't what I left the house to buy. I'm gonna buy this car. I know nothing. Mind you, he had 2 pictures posted, and all he wrote was like 6 words. I know nothing about this car. He comes outside, he opens a door, tall old guy with a cane in his hand, and I'm like, he's gonna have a story.
Yep.
I'm gonna fall in love.
Yep.
He was asking like $1,800, which is way too much. It had 240,000 miles. So I told him I'd give him like $1,000, and he fought me and said 1,200. So I said, sure, fine, whatever.
What year was this?
And what year did I buy it?
Yeah.
It was like a month before COVID popped off, so 2020.
Oh,
It's
okay.
February.
Because now that's cheap. Like,
Yeah,
You can't buy
it
anything.
is.
Well, you can,
No.
but it's going to be awful for $1,000.
Went back the next day with a friend and somehow drove it back to Falls Church. I'm not gonna say any more about the condition it was in. But we eventually got the brakes replaced, the tires replaced, and it was in decent driving condition. Oh yeah, the headliner was falling down, the AC didn't work, the car was completely out of whack. I spent a grand total of about $3,000 making it solid again.
I mean, that's not terrible.
No, and so I thought the odometer worked because the old man said it didn't work. Well, I drove it and I could see it spinning, so when I went to the DMV in the middle of COVID, I just told the lady, like, hey, the guy said it didn't work, but it's working for me, so I think you should say it's a good odometer. And she went, okay. And the title was now clean.
she was mad she was an essential employee and couldn't work from home, so you got whatever you wanted at the time.
Yeah.
And so, as it turns out, it doesn't work when it's cold. I've since sold that car to a friend. It read 285,000 miles when I sold it, so from 240 to 285. And then he has now driven it up to about 295, but it has officially just stopped working entirely. So it's probably more at like 320, 340.
Yeah, that sounds
Original
about
engine.
right.
That's wild.
And
like-
actually original transmission. That's the real impressive part.
That's, what, a 4-speed automatic?
Yep.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Oh, wow.
But, like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make enough power to hurt anything, so what's the,
And I guess when
Make
it
it
doesn't
like-
have any gears to shift through, then all the clutches
Yeah.
last.
It'll
Oh,
just-
wow.
Listen, if you,
You want,
if
like,
you
second
want to
spine.
live a long life, you live a stress-free life, girl.
Yes.
Okay, well, I cannot relate.
No.
At least you
Good eye.
moisturize.
All I can do is water and moisturizer. It's good enough. And vodka's like 60% water, so that's the other part.
These are facts I didn't know, and I'm glad I do.
Yeah, yeah. Don't take the 60% part for fact, but
I'm taking it 100%
Close enough.
fact. I'm holding on to it.
okay. So how many miles are on this GR86 now?
Oh wow, 36. I bought
You've
it.
been driving it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I bought it maybe 2 years ago. Most of that I did 28 in the first year. Don't know how.
Holy cow. Oh my god.
But it's a comfortable car, dude. You can sit in it forever.
Yeah, I get it. I like them a
I say
lot.
you reviewed 2 of them now.
I had a blue, well, I had a Hakone edition during COVID, the first gen, and then I had a blue 86 when they did the new gen. Subaru had me to the BRZ launch at Lime Rock, and then I just had a BRZ TS. So I've driven 4 of them. They're lovely cars. Why is it doing... Oh, okay, thumbs up. Yes, thumbs up for BRZs and 86s. Yeah, they're just lovely. I think they're a... So for those who don't know, I am a Supra owner. The 86 is a better car than the Supra. Like, overall.
I mean, if
more
you want to
fun.
blow my head up like that, then go ahead, girl. I'll take it. But
It's I think it's more fun. It's more playful. It's got better visibility. Where it for me falls down is like it's not as quiet inside. It's not as luxurious. But like that's the whole point of the Supra by comparison. But they're just fantastic.
I have a question for the 3 E36 owners in the chat. So the reason I haven't sold every BMW I have to trade it in on a BRZ is because I think I'm going to miss the engine. Do you miss the 6-cylinder? Do you? Yes, as he's like frantically shaking his head. Yes.
Only complaint. I said it just last week to someone else. If I could just add 2 more cylinders to my car, it would be 0 complaints. Absolutely perfect car.
Yeah. And as an autocrosser, like I show up every weekend and, well, not anymore, but used to show up every weekend and get beat by BRZs and 86s.
Yeah.
So
they're so good just out of the box, and if you do a couple things, they're even better. But yeah, I really love them, and the Boxer 4 has its own character and sound and everything that's really fun, and like it fits the nature of the car. But with the Supra, you can't see shit out of it. It's terrifying to drive at night. It's terrifying to parallel park. It's cramped. It's a lot of things. But that inline 6 at like 6,000 RPM is the entire reason I bought the car.
You can't beat it. You can't
the
beat it.
B58 is really good.
The B58 is great.
I don't know if there's like. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I just gave it to our friend Nick. He drove it home to Maryland, and he's bringing it to the Trackcross this weekend.
Nick Trepane?
Yeah, he wanted to come, and then it didn't really have a car quite ready to drive, and I ran into his husband with Garrett out at the Little Gay Pub one night, and I was just like, well, what if you drove the Supra? So then he came and got the Supra tonight, and he's going to be tracking it, and he's a little scared, and I'm excited for him.
That'll be very fun. Connor said Supra versus Camaro, which has worse visibility?
Oh, good question.
Camaro by a hair.
Yes.
Like barely. Neither of them is great if you have a helmet or a Hans on. For getting our racing licenses with NASA, and I think every organization is pretty similar, you have to do an egress test where, you pretend your car's on fire, get out in, it's like 15 seconds out the door or 10 out the window. I am, I think, a relatively in-shape, trim human being. There is no possible way I could get out the window of a Camaro or a Supra with a helmet on.
Oh,
like,
God,
at
no.
all. The opening is not big enough.
No.
I can get out the window of an E36.
Okay.
So, yeah, they're neither of them are great. The Camaro is equally really phenomenal to drive. I got to drive a 1LE or whatever it is around VIR for a couple laps, and it's really good. It drives like a big, dumb E36.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the last time I was in. Go ahead.
How do you guys feel about engines? What's your favorite engine? Just general configuration.
Ever?
And now that we have the GR Corolla, we can say like an inline 3, inline 4, flat 4, inline 6, flat 6, V8, flat plane V8. I'll start. For me,
Yeah.
I think
Clearly you've got an opinion. Go ahead.
Yes.
I think my heart lies with inline 6s. Like, I still want a V8 one day, but I'm never disappointed with the sound of an inline 6 or a flat 6, honestly, but not a V6. V6 is so specific. There's like 2 or 3 cars.
Yeah, I agree. My heart is with inline 6s. Like, the reason I'm the BMW fanboy I am, and the thing that like started my love for, I guess, BMWs and high revving engines was an S54, so the E46 M3 engine. But that also like. Go ahead.
Tyler in the chat clocked me. He said I skipped over the inline 5, and you're so right. I changed my answer. Inline 5.
Oh, yeah, canceled.
That's a very close second. I deserve to be canceled.
So I'm like, the inline 6 is definitely a classique. I think you could put an inline 6 in anything and it would make it great. Like I've driven a couple Defenders, the new Defenders and Tyler, you've driven one, I think, with the inline 6 as well.
Yeah.
you put that down an on-ramp and floor it, and it is ripping silk, just like any other BMW Inline 6 or whoever else makes one. Phenomenal. I do love a good V8. Like, for anyone who was at the Trackcross where I had the Cadillac CD5 Blackwing,
you make an argument.
like they're so good. But
And
like,
now that they're like fewer
good,
and
but-
further between.
yeah.
The
Like, in our lifetime,
S62.
I think we'll see the end of the V8.
Is it an S62 in the E39 M5? The E39 M5 V8 was a really good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
That and then S65 and E90 M3, like that whole generation there was like the sweet spot of like naturally aspirated things that revved to $8,000, like
Yeah.
F1 derived. Like that was the time.
Yeah. I have driven in whatever the V10 in the M5 and M6.
S60, S68,
S60 something.
S68.
That is a similar like howling, high revving kind of same deal. The inline 5. So Tyler and Connor both in the chat like bring up good points. I did own a turbo Volvo, which our friend Clay now owns, a 98 or 99 S70 T5. That was like weird in a great way, and it makes good noises. And I would say the same thing for the Volkswagen VR6. I like the VR6 for like its ingenuity and what it was, and I love the fact that they made a W12 out of it, and that was so stupid and cool and unique and interesting. And but I still think an inline 6 is probably my single favorite configuration.
Yeah, I think I agree. But at the same time, like, at this point, I support anything weird and anything different. We're so stuck on like 2-liter 4-cylinders and 4-liter V8s. Like any VR6 or anything at this point that's just different. Like I love it. Not to talk crap on people's 2-liter 4-cylinders.
Seriously though, I would be so down for bringing in more 3-cylinders because the GR Corolla 3-cylinder has so much character compared to a 4-cylinder.
Yes, and
Like,
I think
if that's the
I think we've gotten to the point where like a 2-liter 4-cylinder is like the peak engine as far as like displacement versus cylinder count versus whatever, and it's kind of the optimal thing. But when we talk about character is just imperfection that we've decided to love.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of, Lexi said no love for rotaries, but I have a picture of you sitting in the front of, what was the Mazda that had a rotary in it at this point?
oh,
What did you...
the MX-30, the electric one that they were going to do a rotary extender in, and
Oh, that's right.
yeah, that was a fascinating car. I think they canceled it entirely, at least in the U.S. It was going to be California only, and they had one here as a press car just cause. So they let me drive it, and I took it to Delaware, which was too far for the range, which was a whole...
Yeah.
I almost ran out of juice on the side of Route 50.
And took it to Katie's, where there was an actual group of people around it, so it definitely is good for something at least.
Yeah, and rotaries are very cool, and we've got some friends like Matthew. I think they're more your age than mine for college friends, but the one guy and his brother, Greg, I don't remember his brother's name.
FCRX7 Turbo 2. My God, that car is amazing. When that
He
thing is
has
at
it.
full clip, woo!
He's got it with a turbo like the size of my couch, and it will shoot flames out the exhaust, and it makes like 4,000 horsepower or something, and it's very, very, very cool. But I think you have to be that kind of insane owner to own a rotary and have it be like treat you right, or you understand what to do with it.
Oh, because
Whereas,
best believe
like,
it,
Mazda putting
you
a
will rebuild it
rotary
every
in
6 months.
Right, like
You have
can't
to like
it
the
as
abuse.
Yeah.
You don't
like,
love
they're a little
driving it,
finicky.
you love fixing it.
Right. Which, if you're colorblind, every flag just looks like a green flag. Yeah. So, and a 2-liter 4-cylinder is only acceptable over 7,000 RPM, which I would agree. I think the other thing too with this is with like sound. So I think a lot of four cylinders, with NASA racing, we have Honda Challenge, which is a popular class, and Spec Miata. Spec Miatas and Honda Challenge cars, I would not say sound good.
Those are the cars
they are
that
merely a four-cylinder with no exhaust on them.
Yeah, you can be like 5 miles from the racetrack and you're like, Spec Miata's racing. Like everybody knows
out.
when Spec Miata is on.
Yeah. And they're, the Miata motor, and this, Matthew, you owned 2 Miatas?
2 Miatas, NA and an NB.
Okay, so I had my NA, and I've driven a bunch. The NA in particular, I so adore what it was at the time. It was a hugely impactful car. And I loved owning one for the 6 years I had it, and I don't want another one. Because, I've done that. And I think the only thing that would sway me is if I got an ND, because the new ones are phenomenal, but I'm also too big for them. But, point being, the early ones, when they get raced in Spec Miata and all this, that class has endured despite the cars being so old. The engines are not... they're not durable. They have to be rebuilt frequently to keep piston rings in them. But Spec Miata people know that, and they do it, so the cars are fine.
I would make an argument that, I am also a little bit over the Miata thing. However, everyone, if you call yourself a car enthusiast, I'm willing to go out on a limb and say you need to own one.
You must.
I was just about to say,
NA
I never...
ND, you're fucking up, Tyler. You need to go and buy a Miata right now.
Well, I feel like I don't have my car enthusiast card. I skipped all of that, bought a shitty E36, and have suffered the consequences ever since.
You're not allowed to be a car guy until you visit the hairdresser. Go and get it.
Okay, so here's a question then. If a Miata is a bucket list must-own car, then what else is a must-own for enthusiasts? I would say an old BMW of some sort.
Any old German car, I guess.
Any old German car.
Any old German, yeah.
What else?
I want to say, at this point, almost maybe any 90s car. Truly. Because the 90s hit a point where...
It was a good overlap point.
They kind of teach you how to work on just about anything.
Mm-hmm. They were modern enough without being too wild.
I'm at the point now where I've never owned a V8, so I'm playing the game of what interesting V8 can I get, because I've always had BMWs or four cylinders, and anybody who maybe might be my age or younger, it's going to be harder to find a V8 if you want one, or at least an interesting sort of modern one. Other than Mustangs and Camaros.
I did the V8 thing with with trucks and SUVs, and I had my Yukon Denali. It was my first tow vehicle, the 6-liter, and I just kind of figured that would be it. But then I ended up buying several more V8s because I kept having the what if they don't make them anymore while I'm alive sort of thing, and now I'm in my 30s and they're still making them, and they'll make them till I'm 60 something, but. I think the V8 is a good one, and a couple people in the chat are saying front-wheel drive with a proper diff. I got half of that with my Focus ST. The open diff brake vectoring thing was some nonsense, but that was a good car.
I had that with my Fiesta ST too, and managed to boil brakes on the street without trying very hard, but still a very good car.
Yeah. Matthew, you had the Fit too, which I think everyone should own a car like the Fit.
Yes. The Fit taught me just you can do a lot with a little.
Literally fit many things in a Fit. Yeah.
Girl, you can get anything you want in a Fit.
I got pulled over going 95 miles an hour in my ST with the back full of Christian Selfo's drum kit and full stage band gear, just fully. So I'd imagine a Fit can hold even more.
Yeah.
The Fit. I saw that comment. LSD and naturally aspirated front wheel drive, and I agree. I still want something else that is equally as light with a little bit more power and an LSD. I've never driven that type of front wheel drive car. I would love to.
That'd be like a Civic SI, basically.
Yeah. If I could get a K-swapped fit, perfect.
Ooh, doesn't Tom O'Gorman have that?
Probably.
He.
All I know is I see
No.
many videos of him like full sideways in the rain, like flooring it, and then
That's
somehow
Tom in
like
any
magically like straightening a car back out and winning a race. Like,
Yeah.
there must be some sort of magic there.
I mean, that could be Tom in like a Honda Odyssey. Let's be real.
The Hot
but-
Odyssey.
Hot Odyssey.
That exists, right?
Yes. The Honda.
Oh my God, I've seen it in real life. That V6 sings, girl.
It's the Honda Alabama racing team or whatever. It's some of the engineers and people that build Hondas in the U.S. Built the Hot Odyssey and a front-wheel drive MDX as race cars.
I didn't know that was the name. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what they call it, and I think it's hysterical. It's probably a 6-year-old van at this point, but we have shared the track together.
That's
It
so
is
good.
amusing and not especially quick in the corners. And then Ford let their engineers build an Explorer ST race car that was at Hyperfest last year that I got a ride in. That was fun and terrifying
I can only
because
imagine.
it's like putting my entire apartment building on a racetrack and going very quickly.
Yes, and hoping it doesn't fall over.
Yes. Yeah. So, well, cool. We're kind of at time, but we can keep going. Like, there's no rules to this because this is very Trixie and Katya. Like, it's our show, not yours.
Everyone.
I like the fact that
keeps-
there's no rules.
Well, if that's
Yeah.
the case, then I want 2 minutes because everyone keeps saying Matt Marshall, and I just remembered he has a W220, right? Like an S class.
Yeah. Like.
Yeah. If
It's an
someone in the
S-Class
chat. Well,
with a-
first off,
with a-
someone in the chat, just get him in here. But also, like, I'm gonna pull something out from under the couch real quick. If someone could just tell him that I
You
have
can't do
these
that in my
wheels.
house. It's not that type of podcast.
I have some AMG wheels if he wants them.
Oh,
I
she
sell them
brought
to a really
props.
good price.
I have to go.
They're 18 by 8.5. 18 by 8.5 and 9.5. They've been
Wait, hold on.
refinished.
What is the lug spacing? So we all know this has to be a proper advertisement at this point.
Oh God. They fit whatever you want.
For the right
Excellent
price.
salesperson.
Yes.
And they've been refinished. They're perfect. They're powder coated, and they have Matt Marshall's name on them.
Well,
Really?
that's great. I'm very happy. that poor car. For those who don't know the whole story, because this will be syndicated worldwide and millions of people will listen, that S-Class was bought like at an auction or something, and the oil pump was falling apart, and it's been held together with a JB welded piece of Chinese food takeout container, like the metal welded to it with JB weld, and it rod knocks very loudly at idle, but it has run fine for several track crosses.
I was gonna say this is the one that's come to like every track cross,
Yeah,
right?
the blue one.
He drives that thing so hard that like you can't read the sidewalls of the tires, yet that V8 still hasn't blown up.
No, and he let Jack drive it, and I mean, love Jack, but if you give Jack keys, he's going to drive it as hard as the owner will, if not harder. So,
Work, girl.
and yeah,
Good job, Jack.
like, it's a great car, certainly very durable, despite coming out of the Daimler Chrysler era of Mercedes-Benz.
Stressed
So-
but well dressed, and he's missing a fresh set of shoes. Come on.
Well,
Yeah, it could use a set of monoblocks.
get the rest of the car zhuzhed up a little bit more to fit that. But,
It'll look great once it finally blows and it's sitting in his driveway on monoblocks.
Correct.
It'll be good.
There you go.
right. Okay, well, the props, certainly, I don't have any props with me.
I'm so
looking
underprepared.
around.
I don't have props either. How about a bowl of decorative oranges that are rotting away? That's about all I have.
Look at that. I have forks. From New Year's. I just have
Plastic and
forks.
disposable.
Yes. I have forks and a Baofeng radio. That's all I can offer.
Oh, yeah, we're really underprepared.
Speaking of busted Mercedes-Benzes and Baofeng radios and rotting fruit, we've got a full house for track cross this weekend, and I'm super pumped.
Is it over 100 people? That's insane.
We we sold out the.
He's here, Matt.
The number
oh my
of
God.
drivers.
Matt is here.
Matthew, we're gonna go back, Mr. Marshall.
I'm gonna cut you off real quick.
Somebody actually got him.
Matt, do you want these?
We have props. You need these.
Thank you, Lexi, for finding Matt Marshall.
I feel bad because there's people listening and they're not going to see what all of this is about. But anyways, Matt, I got these wheels, and if you want them, I'll cut you a deal. Yeah.
This is what this podcast is going to be. It's going to be a mix of news, fun girly chatting, and marketplace live ads.
Yes. What do people bring to sell?
Inside cars.
Well, this sets a precedent. Every guest now needs to have just some random thing underneath the kitchen table.
Bring something ridiculous as a show and tell. So in this case, it's one AMG wheel.
It's going to get dangerous really fast.
Cannot wait. Yeah.
But anyway, back to Trackcross.
Yeah, so we sold out the number of drivers. So we've got 75 drivers, which I'm just floored by. And then we've got people coming as crew to come hang out. We've got the car show that Miss Landry is putting together for us. So all in, we've got like 117 people coming, which is...
That is a party.
That's
just hydrate ahead of time, please.
That hotel lobby is gonna be a goddamn good little gay pub. You are taking the little gay pub to Summit Point.
Little Gay Pub is traveling this weekend in Winchester, Virginia.
Yeah, the True by Hilton does not know what is coming.
They never do.
They never do, but like they love us. They love us anyway. So that will be a good gay time. And then we're gonna do some road rallies. I promise those are coming. I haven't published a schedule, but we've got a schedule. I just need to do it. And then we've got Willow Springs, and then we'll be back at Summit Point in September. So Willow, I'm excited for. That'll be in August.
I'm so excited for West Coast things. That will be very fun.
Coming out for it?
I hope so. I'm planning on it. Amidst my many job hops, that's the one thing where I'm like, yeah, sorry, I'm gonna have to be there. I'm the West Coast girly through and through.
I have wanted to be at Willow Springs for a very long time because it's a fairly iconic track, at least to me, and I'm excited that they were like, oh yeah, y'all can come. And we're having dinner there. Nate Kimball introduced me to someone who runs the Air and Space Museum next to Willow Springs, and we're gonna have dinner at the museum and get a tour.
Ooh!
So that's some fun.
Do you know what month that is?
It's the first weekend of August.
Ooh!
So if y'all want to fly out and rent cars, whatever, come on out.
I don't know what weekend it is, but I think I'm actually going to be over there in August for work. So I'll need to
just
see
find a reason to
is.
stay and come play.
I absolutely am.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really, really cool. And Streets is a fun track. So everyone go to Avis. Don't tell them why, and get something from the fun girly collection.
Yes. Pick your car from the LAX parking garage.
Right.
That they let you
get a busted ass Charger, and we'll see you there.
Return them all with no tires.
Or
wonder why.
Or the Ultima or similar, whatever class that is. So
I'm very excited.
Let's see, what else is there? Nick currently has my car. I have no cars at home. I have a Kia EV9 coming tomorrow for the Summit Point weekend because they are sponsoring us this event, and it was that or a Seltos, and the EV9 is more fun and flirty. So they also approved me tracking the EV9. So
because Jeff Jablonski is literally the coolest.
Jeff. We love Jeff. Jeff is just the best. I was like, Jeff, I'm going to put this on the door handles. He's like, okay, have fun, get photos. So yeah, I guess that's that.
It'll be a good time.
It'll be a good time.
Yeah. I guess that is that, but that was fun.
That was really fun. We should do more of these. Maybe think every other week to start. We'll go from there. If people want to be on and do what Matthew did and come tell us a little bit about what you're up to, we'll figure out a way to get y'all scheduled so you can express some interest. And Matthew, where can we find you? What are you doing, event-wise and social medias and all that? Where are you at?
Gosh, you can find me on the Discord. Yeah, you can find me on the Discord. That's where I am. I don't really have any other social media, but if you're an Out Motorsports member, then you know where to find me. And if you're not, then you should become one. If you're new and you're listening to this, this is our great organization.
You are selling everything tonight. I'm here for
and
it.
Well done.
This is literally like 80% of my socialization, and I'm not complaining about it.
I love it. And any events coming up that you're going to?
I will be at Pat D, Pride at the Dragon, later this month. You will find me at least one road rally and definitely the Summit Point event.
Excellent.
And I don't know if you're in the DC area, come on in. I'll be here.
Oh yeah, we're always down for mostly martinis at Little Gay Pub, but also occasionally other activities elsewhere.
But it all starts at Little Gay Pub.
Cars. Yeah.
Oh, did I say
that should be the
Volvos?
real sponsor.
Ooh.
Little Gay Pub needs to be the real sponsor.
I will send this to them. I have spent enough money there that they
brought
should
them
they
up
should-
more than anybody else.
Yeah, I have said this to some people, and this is maybe problematic to say on the internet, but if I get in the car at the wrong time of day, Siri is just like, "Oh, Little Gay Pub," like recommended directions, which
Not
is a
home,
read.
Little Gay Pub.
It's a read, but also most of the time I'm like, "Yeah, how's the traffic?"
She is clocking you. She said, "Bitch, I know what you want."
Exactly. She has
Our
also learned
iPhones
that I
know
go
us
to
better
show
than we
tunes on
do.
Monday nights, which is becoming another source of it's not a problem. It's just like a fun thing to do, but I'm out late. So anyway, all right,
Well,
I'm gonna
hey.
stop recording. And
Well, thanks for
That's
having
that.
me, guys.
yeah, this was super fun. We'll do this again.
Yes, please.
Stop.